friends. Hello, it's Wolf. Hello, Roby Witch. Let me just adjust my camera ever so slightly. How are you both today? Wolf, how is your, look at all those emotes getting ready to write quickly. How was your doctor's appointment, Wolf, that you apparently, realized at the last minute was happening? It's me. I'm not editing today, which hopefully will make this stream a little less stressful than yesterday's stream. I am writing today. There's going to be clicky clacks, hopefully in abundance. It was fine. It was a follow-up, which is probably why I forgot. See, this is why I try to put everything in my calendar instantly, because if I don't, then it's essentially not happening to me. And I had this, I was trying to make a hair appointment, and we were trying to plan, my husband, Ghost Pepper, is having a 24-hour stream during March break, and we were trying to decide when that was going to happen. And I had, last year, at the very end of the year, I had gotten some cavities filled, and I had scheduled an appointment for this year to get a cleaning, and I didn't write it in my calendar. So I knew it was happening in March on presumably a weekend. And I was like, if we are going to schedule this 24-hour stream, and if I'm going to get a hair appointment, I need to know when I'm supposed to go to the dentist. So I had to call the dentist office and be like, hey, I need you to tell me when my appointment is because I wrote it in my calendar wrong. And then on Tuesday, I had to call back because I think I mentioned last stream, we've been trying to get together with some of our streamer friends, Collie and Vinyl, Collie Flumps and Vinyl Stencil, lovely and fabulous people. They only live about 4 hours away from us, and we've been trying to get together with them for like a year. And every time we find an opening in our schedule, there's lightning strikes and a wildfire ignites and closes the highway, or there's this horrible storm and there's a mudslide that wipes out the road. These are both things that actually happened. So we finally found another time when we can get together, and we like matched up our schedules, and the weather seems like maybe it's gonna not be awful for the time of year it is. And I went to put it in my calendar, and there's my dentist appointment. So I had to call back. I had to call back and be like, I don't know about that Collie Flumps. He seems like a pretty cool dude. I don't know if he's going to be able to sleep in the bed that we have, because apparently he needs like ultra soft, and I don't know if that mattress is ultra soft. But I had to call back to the dentist office and be like, yeah, can I move my appointment? Because I know that they have like a window. I think it's like once you're within like a 2-week window, there's potentially a surcharge for canceling an appointment, because they need to be able to fill it, right? Produce bruises easily. Yeah, apparently that's accurate from what I've heard. And so I moved the dentist appointment to 9 days later and put it in my calendar properly. But long story short, if it's not in my calendar, like there's no way. I remembered luckily that dentist appointment was happening with enough forethought to call and find out when the appointment was. Because I vaguely remembered that I wrote it down somewhere and then lost where I wrote it down. But that was luck. I could have forgotten that completely, because really I open up my calendar and I look at my calendar, and that's what's happening for the week. And if I don't have something written down, then it's probably not gonna happen, in all honesty. So but yeah, so I get it. I get the whole, oops, I didn't put this in my calendar. I had a moment like that yesterday evening as well, because I've been trying to set up an appointment with my tax lady, who, she's a lovely, fabulous lady who has way more faith in my ability to ever be successful as an author than I do. And I've been trying to set up an appointment that same, like the last week in March, because I'm taking that week off work. So it's like, okay, I can make midday appointments because Ghost is home with the car and I'm not writing, so I can do all the running around. And I've been trying for like 2 weeks to make an appointment with her, and I sat down to email her yesterday with like a time that would fit in this revised schedule. And I was like, how has it been a week since I emailed her last? I couldn't believe it. I was just like, it felt like, yeah, I had been trying to get to it for 2 or 3 days, but I was like, how has it been a week that I've been trying to come up with like a day that we could have this tax appointment? And it just feels like in a matter of like seconds, our entire March has just filled up, because we have that birthday party that we were supposed to have, like that birthday gathering. I say birthday party, it's like 5 of us are gonna go do a longsword combat class. But we were supposed to have that a couple weeks ago, so we're doing that this weekend now, this Saturday. And then we have a week off, and then, well, a weekend that doesn't have a plan, possibly. And then we have Collie and Vinyl coming to visit, and then the next Saturday is Ghost's 24-hour stream. And then the next Saturday is April, believe it or not. And so that one weekend, that next weekend that we don't have anything planned for, I potentially have to reinstall Windows on my computer that weekend. So, like, as I'm at the point now where if someone's like, hey, do you have time in March? I have to be like, nope. Potentially not. I do still have that week that I'm planning to take off of writing, which hopefully what's going to happen is, 1, I'm going to get some rest. 2, if I haven't reinstalled Windows on my computer on my new drive yet, then that will happen that week. And I'll be reorganizing and reinstalling every program on my computer. And I'm hopefully also gonna take a break, hang out with people, and I keep trying to find a game. I was telling Ghost this last night. I keep trying to find a game I could play on stream that's like story oriented, but not like 100 hours long, that like I could get into and finish in like 2 or 3 streaming sessions to do like over the break. Pretty sure this game doesn't exist, but if anyone knows a game that's like that, that you would enjoy seeing me play, let me know. Toss it at me. I'll take a look at it. I just don't... Every like story-oriented game, it doesn't have to be an RPG, it can be any, it could be a visual novel, it could be any kind of game. I just want to, I like the idea of focusing on something story-oriented because I'm a writing channel, right? So, you know, there could potentially be some writing/story-related conversation to grow out of a story-oriented game, but all RPGs are like 2 million hours. And I can't guarantee if I start something on stream and I can't finish it in a week that I'll ever touch it again. I also thought I could just do some Hades, but I'm past the story in that. And my husband Ghost and I have started playing Hades for Divorce Court as well. So that's a thing. Hades is the best. It is really good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would jump at the excuse to play Hades. And I'm half tempted to start over and see how quickly I could beat the game. Now that I like actually understand how to play the game, but I'm still achievement hunting on my main account. But if people want to see me do some Hades, there's a distinct possibility that might happen the last week in March. Because I don't think, like I said, I don't think that a short story-oriented game exists that I could like finish in a week. So, I mean, Hades, right? I can't play Hades anymore because I broke my keyboard by playing it too much. Oh no! See, I have We have found ways, Ghost and I, to attach our PlayStation controllers, which we no longer use with our PlayStation, to our computer. And I keep it here because, I can play Hades whenever I want because I have my controller for Hades. I also played a really cool game called Gris, which I kind of wish I had played on stream, but I've played it off stream now. It was super good. Maybe someday I'll replay it on stream, but I have to kind of let it... I've just finished it, so I should let it, like, sink into the recesses of my mind so that someday I can re-experience it again, more genuinely on stream, but... I actually can't imagine playing Hades with the keyboard because, I don't know, there's just so many buttons in that game that I feel like if my fingers were spread across the keyboard, I would never hit the right buttons at the right time. Respect to you for playing that game on keyboard because I don't know if I could. I feel like all the games I know are either too long or probably aren't super great with stories. I've tried playing Supergiant games on keyboard, it's nuts. Yeah, well that was the thing, was like, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's Supergiant, but I had tried to play Bastion on my keyboard once, and it was just, it didn't really fly. I need to go back actually and play that game now that I have a controller that works with my computer. Yeah, I mean, I'm always up for some Hades. I need to play Pyre. I keep wanting to get into Pyre, and I keep being like, as soon as I get into that game, I'm probably gonna fall down such a deep, deep hole. Look, I want to play it, but I feel like, again, I need 1,000,000 hours to play that game. I feel like as soon as I start that game, it's gonna be like, this is your whole world now, and welcome to all you care about is what's happening with these characters right this second. I love all my babies from the game. See, that's, yeah, I know that as soon as I start playing that game, I'm just gonna be like, I need to stay up till 3 in the morning playing this game, please. And I can't do that, I'm too busy. I'm too busy with, I don't know, real life. This stupid real life thing that I'm stuck in and can't get out of. So yeah, and it's not like I don't have, like, I have a bunch of, because I keep being like, oh, I don't even think you guys can see my, like, games because the way I have my thing, but it's like, I have all of these dating sims. Hey, little Banshee, hello, how are you? Thank you for the hydrate. I've got some iced tea here. And a storage. Ooh. Ooh. Yes, that feels good. It's always like my upper back right between my shoulders, like, that's always where I want to get it. Thank you. That felt good actually. But yeah, looking at my list of like games, I have a bunch of dating sims, but most of them are like, it's gonna take me like 16 hours to get through one of those dating plots. So I'm okay just hoping to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I do forget to move around as much as I should sometimes when I'm at my computer, so I definitely appreciate that. But all of the other games I play are like puzzle games. And I don't know if they would be at all interesting. I gotta finish Outer Wilds someday too, but that game gives me a little bit of motion sickness. I kinda stopped playing it because the way that it involves travel through space, right? So the way that you have to move and orient your, maybe it would be easier now that I have a controller, but the way that you have to orient your, like spaceship and stuff, and like when you're doing like free floating, I got to the point where I just was like, I can only play this in like 10-minute increments. So I stopped playing it for a while. Who knows? Anyway, what we're actually here today to do is not to pick a game to play on March break, but actually to write a story. Yesterday I was editing. The writing was quite slow, if you guys were here watching, because I was a little bit more discerning and careful about what I was writing. So today we're back to the usual turn on the sprint timer and just write whatever words we feel like writing at the time. So that's what we're doing today. For anyone who hasn't seen one of my short story streams before, I decided to do a fun little project this year called 22 Stories in 2022, because on my blog, I basically post a blog and then a short fiction every other week. And so basically the number of weeks that I post short fiction, or the number of short fiction pieces that I write throughout the year, is exactly 22. So 22 stories for 2022. And I'm using the prompts that got bandied around for the 31 stories in 31 days at the beginning of the year in January. Not a project I did because I had other projects I was working on at the time. But I have kind of stopped working from writing prompts, and so I liked the idea of sort of working to writing prompts again for a while. And in addition to using prompts that I find and spark my interest, I am basically, like, I have two rules for myself, and that is, I want the prompt to fit into the multiverse of my stories, so they tie in with the canon of either one of the stories that I have written or one of the stories that I'm planning to write. That I already sort of know how they connect to this multiverse where all of my stories take place. And the second rule, none of the rules are hard and fast, but the second rule is that I don't want to use main characters from the multiverse, characters that I write a lot, or characters that already feature heavily in my blog, unless they are sort of appearing as a cameo or side character. And so we're sort of going to skirt the line of that rule today, but I think it will still fit the criteria. If you popped over to my blog right now, the free fiction that I have posted for this week, I will share the link in the chat. This is my latest blog post for this week, and it is a free fiction week. And the free fiction this week is deleted scenes from my Symphony of the Stars space opera, The Celestial Serenade. These all come from, I believe, the first two books. I don't know if there was a deleted scene from After the Nightmare. But basically it goes through and it shows scenes that I had written for the book that I took out for various reasons. And then there's a little explanation after the scenes as to why I decided to change it or rewrite it, or you know, in the one case I didn't replace it with anything. I just kind of... actually, there might be one from After the Nightmare, because oh no, it was Across the Void. There's a scene that I deleted because I replaced it with a rewrite, and there's another scene that I kind of cut because it just didn't really serve a purpose. It was kind of it was sort of like if you imagine in a movie just like a crane camera pan between one scene and another, and it didn't really add anything, and I actually kind of felt like it detracted from some of the mysticism of one of the characters, so I cut it. But you can get an insight into some things that I tried to do with that story that just ultimately didn't end up working, that are on my blog this week. I mean, it'll always be there, but that's what was posted this week. I think we're starting to get into the stories that I wrote on stream. If they haven't started coming up already, they have. So Wordless Bond from a couple weeks ago. This went up on Valentine's Day, actually. This was the first short story that I wrote on stream. Actually, I think this was my first writing stream on my channel, was writing this story, Wordless Bond. It was sort of my test stream to see if people would be interested in watching me pound on the keyboard, and it turned out that you guys were, so I kept doing it. So yeah, just some background into the project. Today's prompt, as I put in the title of the stream, is moments of perfection are rare. And actually when I started looking through prompts, this was one of the first ones that I wrote down being interested in doing, and really wanted to actually take some time to devote to, because I instantly sort of sparked an idea for me. Not necessarily an idea of like specifically what I wanted to write, but an idea of concept. And those are always the ideas that draw me, the prompts that draw me the most, is something that sparks an idea of concept, because it means that it's going to be really easy and natural to think about what that idea is, or what that idea accomplishes. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes it's hard to describe the way my thought processes work, because my brain doesn't necessarily draw tangible, traceable lines that make sense logically when I talk about it, because it all just sort of happens instantly. Not kind of like not like the mind palace in like Sherlock Holmes, but you know, sort of something similar to that, where it's like I am just kind of going from stone to stone inside a river, and I can't necessarily look back and describe how I got to where I end up, but it makes logical sense to me because I experienced it. Basically, as soon as I read the prompt, moments of perfection are rare. Glowworm! Oh my goodness! Hello! Welcome! How are you? Don't know. So I got the alert. Can we do a shout out for Glowworm here? Can I spell it properly? There we go. Glowworm was playing Resident Evil 7. Interesting. How was it? Hazad786. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for the follow. How was stream? I wanted to pop in actually to Glowworm's stream, but I had to get ready. I had to get ready to do this thing that I'm about to do. And I knew that if I turned it on, I wasn't going to want to turn it off. So I had to be good. Also, I love that Glowworm emote. It's the most cutest, adorable thing in the whole world. So yeah, when I first read the prompt, what was it? I'm not thinking. What a meme! Hello, welcome to chat. How are you? When I first read the prompt, moments of perfection are rare, the first thing I thought of was, this was like a decade ago now, probably. But way back in when Ghost and I lived in Quebec. So this had to be like 2012, maybe. We had just bought our first house. It was right before we moved from Toronto to Quebec, actually. We had just bought our first house. We were about to move in. And Ghost had just gotten his first full-time teaching job, and it felt like, you know, we had both just graduated from university/college. We were both starting, like, our careers. We had just started talking about the possibility of me writing full-time, and I was trying to plan out my first novel, which actually, the novel I was working on at the time was The Celestial Serenade, which is now available on Amazon. And Ghost's parents bought us tickets to the Blue Man Group. Spectre451, thank you so much for the follow. How are you? You guys were gaming. How was the gaming? I don't know much about Resident Evil because I don't do horror very well. So were there a lot of spooky parts? And were there a lot of jump scares? Or is it not that kind of spooky? But anyway, yeah, so Ghost's parents bought us tickets to the Blue Man Group, and we went to the show, and it was amazing. It was really awesome. Hope you're well. I'm doing pretty good. I'm hopefully gonna write a short story here on stream today. I'm just sort of talking about how we got to the concept of what I'm gonna be writing, so that people know a little bit about what's going on in my brain. Glow and horror are a good laugh. Oh goodness. Glowworm was scared me more than the game. Oh no! Scarier than the game. Was it one of those just shoot everything? Something moved, shoot everything moments. So yeah, we went to see the Blue Man Group, and it was amazing. If you ever get a chance to see them in person, I highly recommend it, because it's super cool. They do a lot of visual effects mixed with instrumental. And actually for a while after that show, I would do a lot of my writing to Blue Man Group music because it's mostly instrumental, and it has a really good carrying beat, so it'd keep me focused really well. And I just remembered during the finale of the show, they did this giant, like, dance party. And it was like they had the audience up and dancing, and they had these giant, like, balloon beach ball things that they, like, tossed into the audience for, like, crowd surfing. And then, like, it was this whole moment where it just felt like everything was really right with the world, and everything was going really well, and I was just perfectly happy and perfectly content. And I feel like I've felt that way in my life maybe 3 times in total. And so when I read this prompt, moments of perfection are rare, that was what I thought of, was like the maybe 3 times in my life that I've had this feeling. And that was the first time that I remember really keenly feeling it. Another time that I remember feeling it was after we had moved to where we are now. We had moved back to Canada from England. This was only about a handful of years ago now. It was during the Iron Maiden Book of Souls World Tour. It was the first time that we were finally able to go see Iron Maiden live in concert. Iron Maiden is one of Ghost's all-time favorite bands. And the first band that I got into listening to heavy metal. And so we were finally able to go see them live. And again, I had a very similar moment during the concert, where it was just, we were all on our feet and just headbanging, and it was just insane. Because those guys have insane energy when they're on. I mean, these are guys that are in their 50s and 60s, and freaking the lead singer Bruce Dickinson just climbs around the set like a freaking spider monkey, and it's amazing. And again, I remember having that feeling of, like, life is good right now. Like, this is one of those moments where life is good. These moments don't happen very often. So that's sort of the concept that I'm working with in the book today, is wanting to sort of have a character have a moment like that, and have a feeling of perfect contentment with their life. The jump scares didn't get me. It was her screaming. That would be... I would be the one screaming as well if there's jump scares. I played Phasmo, I think, one time. Phasmophobia. And every little thing, every little whisper, even just like the click of the radios, like when you push to talk, even that scares me in that game. So I feel like that, I feel like I identify with that. Squanchy, hello, how are you? What are you up to today? So I took this idea of perfect contentment, this idea of a moment that very rarely descends upon you, and how I started trying to think about how I wanted to define or depict this in written form. Because sometimes emotions can be very easy to describe, and sometimes they can be very complicated to describe. And the more complicated the emotion, such as a moment of absolute perfect contentment, which people don't really experience very often, is a complex emotion that's actually very difficult to, I don't want to say visualize, because you don't necessarily visualize it, but it's kind of difficult to achieve in written form, right? I've just spent at least 15 minutes describing this emotion in order to convey it. So let's see. Story 4. 22 stories in 2022. We're just gonna save a document here so that when we do start writing, we can obsessively save every 5 seconds. Save your work, friends. And so I started thinking of this concept and how I wanted to do it. It's very interesting because I'm reading this book. You can see it sitting back here. I'm reading this massive tome here. I'm not very far in it yet. Called Islandia. I started reading this in high school, and I had borrowed it and I had to give it back before I got very far. And so my good friend Woof in chat actually bought me a copy of the book so that I could finish it. But what's really interesting is, as I was having this sort of internal conversation with myself, it's over 1,000 pages long. Like, if you're looking at this and you're like, how many pages is that? It's 1,024 proof. And I am on page 81. If you're wondering how much of a dent I've put in that yet. But as I was having this internal conversation, Stephen King style length? Yes, very much so. I think I'm gonna have to actually break it into chunks when I read it, because I don't know that I'll get through. It's a bit dense, so I don't know if I'll get through all 1,000 words in like one straight go. But as I was having this conversation with myself, capturing complex emotions, their main character in this book actually experiences culture shock. But the author never calls it culture shock, possibly because at the time that this book was written, culture shock wasn't as much of a well-known phenomenon as it is today. But having experienced culture shock twice in my life, once when I moved to Canada and once when I moved, even more severely when I moved to England for a year, I readily recognize this emotion that's being described as culture shock. He talks about this feeling that the world is a dream, that nothing is real, that everything is very oddly off, as if you don't belong there, as if there's this odd hostility in the air in everything that you do, right? And as I was reading this description, I was like, he's having culture shock. Absolutely. He's moved to a strange country. He doesn't understand the customs. He doesn't fully speak the language. Everything feels weird. This is exactly what it felt like when I moved to England. And I want to do something like that, but with a positive emotion instead of a negative emotion, right? If only I was big brain enough to read books like that. I mean, you gotta read them slowly, one page at a time, really. whenever I read a monster book, I try not to think too hard about how much I have left to read, and I just sort of focus on like, because I read them in like 15 or 20 page chunks, right? Because I really only have an hour to read every night. And I think that helps. I think if you break it down into smaller pieces, that does help. I can only read stuff with pictures in it. There's a map. I don't know that it counts. I don't know that it counts as a picture, but there is a map. Now, half of the places they've mentioned in the book so far haven't been on the map, much to my chagrin. But yeah, this book very much leaves much open to your imagination. So yeah, basically I want to try and capture that same kind of emotional feeling. And again, I was talking about this yesterday, how sometimes you can describe something not by making reference to it, but by making reference around it, right? So to basically describe the sensations and feelings around the emotion. So instead of describing contentment, you can describe sort of the results of contentment, the feeling of warmth and comfort and belonging and that sort of thing. Just the idea that all is well and all is right, and that this moment is also fragile, right? Because at some point time will move forward and that moment will pass. There's a map. Now I got to read it. There is a map. It's so for anyone who doesn't know, Islandia is a book about it essentially takes place on Earth, but there's a fake continent, a made-up continent in the Arctic. And there's this made-up country. It's real in the book, but it's a made-up country called Islandia. And the main character, John Lang, meets someone from Islandia in college, in university. And later he becomes the American consul, essentially, to Islandia, in part so that he can go back and hook up with this friend again and get to see like his country. And so it's basically all about his experience after he goes there. It's fascinating, especially from a writer's point of view, because the world building is very intense and very vivid. And obviously like extremely well developed. And I think what happened was that this guy was actually a lawyer, the guy who wrote this book. It's Austin Tappan Wright. He was a lawyer, I believe, in life. And it wasn't until he died that the book was published, because they sort of discovered the manuscript that he had been working on like for his whole life in the background. And I think his wife published it after he passed on. So it's very interesting. There's times when the dialogue feels very choppy and not quite polished, but the descriptions are insanely good. Like, and the customs, like the development of the customs and everything, it's insanely good. So definitely from a writing perspective, there's a lot of really interesting things about this book. But yes, so when I started to think about how I wanted to incorporate these emotions into a story, because you can't necessarily just write a story about emotions. You need a character to experience those emotions. And so I wanted to, when I think about moments of perfect contentment, the thing that always crops up for me is the desire to capture those moments, the desire to sort of freeze those moments and make them last longer. And I think in the modern world, a lot of times we do that with a photograph. Because of course we always have our cameras, our digital cameras at the ready to capture the moments going on around us. And so I thought for a while of a portrait. I actually was toying with a darker idea of maybe something trapped in a portrait or in a photo. But instead, the concept that I've sort of landed on for this piece is an artist who is trying to capture their moment of perfect serenity, perfect contentment through art. And so it's a little bit meta because I'm going to be writing about an artist trying to perfect their art while being an artist trying to perfect their art. And the character that I landed on for this piece is a very minor character within my multiverse called Elsie, who appears in a couple of my side stories. So for anyone who doesn't know, I have this massive sort of multi-dimensional, and when I say like multi-dimensional, I mean like parallel dimensional universe in which my stories take place, and some of my characters sort of repeat. They have multiple lives across these different worlds for various reasons. And one of the main characters that features very heavily in that is Dameron, who's this grumpy elf boy here. Now, he is one of the main characters in the multiverse, so if I wrote the story from his perspective, or specifically about him, I think it would be breaking my primary rule. But there's one side story universe that Dameron exists in that I've only written about once, and that's this story here from June of 2016, so I'm reaching pretty far into the past for this one. This is a world in which Dameron, who is he's very much gay, and he very much has boyfriends in 99% of the lives he's lived. But there's one universe in which he had an arranged marriage with a woman that he actually went through with. And it was... it is a very difficult situation for him because his wife very much has a different form of regard for him than he does for her. So there's this sort of inequality in that relationship, where she's his wife is madly in love with him, and he is sort of unable to. I mean, he cares for her and respects her, but he's sort of unable to return her feelings in exactly the same way that she cares for him. And so there's this sort of unrequited love thread that runs through this universe. And Elsie, this woman, is an artist. She's very well known for her drawings and her paintings. She does portraits for the most part, and one of the people that she draws quite often is her husband, because he's around and she'll see him doing something or catch him in a moment or position and want to draw it. And so sort of the idea of the story that I want to write today is that Elsie has come upon her husband sleeping on the couch, and to her this is an image that she wants to capture, not photographically, but in art, right? She wants to perfectly capture this sleeping form. And for her, this is this act of drawing this portrait is sort of her contentment, right? This moment of frozen joy where for her, everything in her life is exactly where she wants it to be, while knowing that as soon as he wakes up, everything will change, right? Because there are emotions within their lives and within their marriage that can't necessarily be ignored while both of them are awake and communicating with each other, but can be overlooked in a moment like this, right? And so that's kind of what I want to write today. I know that was long-winded. I know I just talked for like 40 minutes about concept and stuff. But one of the cool things about these streams is getting to actually describe my thought process, because with my longer novels, it would take like 40 hours to explain the thought processes that I go through for those. So having something that's small and to the point that I can describe, and a process that I can describe, is nice. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. Now I have to actually make the words happen, which is kind of the really hard part. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to start my sprint timer. I do, for anyone new to the stream, because I know we have some new people today. I do 20-minute, I don't know if I'm holding up 2 fingers, but I do 20-minute sprint timers where basically I go quiet for 20 minutes. I do clicky-clack, tippy-tap typing a bunch of words. You guys are free to talk during that time. I might not answer right away. I usually will come back and go through chat after and see what everyone is up to and catch up with everyone in conversation. But there'll be a lot of clicky clacks. Apparently people like them, so I'm told. Hopefully I'll get into a zone and the clicky clacks will flow steadily. Yesterday that really didn't happen until almost the end of stream, but hopefully today it'll happen. So I have what every writer dreads most, a blank page before me. And I always like to try and get some idea of what I want my first sentence to be before I start, which I think I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking because I feel like I've talked way too much, and sorry if that is the case. And I'm gonna hit that timer and give you guys what you really, really want, which is the clicky clacks. So let's do it. Weird. I have to tell it to format the way I want it to. Sometimes the brain trips over the simplest words. Who is this lady who thinks she's married to Domran? I mean, his wife. In this universe, she's his wife. They are actually married. Their marriage was arranged by their parents when they were young. Ooh, well, I don't know that you get to have an opinion. I don't know that you got a vote, my dude.
Only the beginning. The man was saying it this afternoon who was taking it. Suddenly you notice.
All right, first sprint, pretty well. Got tripped up a little bit at the end there because wanted to be a little bit choosy about my words, because if you're writing around a concept, if you're sort of trying to fill in a concept with its surrounding results, you kind of want to be a little bit exact with the words that you're using. But that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. 837. I definitely feel like I've set the scene, and I'm starting to sort of dig into the heart of it. This is a very internal scene, because it has to do mostly with the thoughts of a character. And so much of the story is being told through recollection, but the physical action is mostly in describing the artistic form sort of taking shape. So I'm pretty happy with what I've got to start. I don't know how much longer it will be. Usually I try to aim between 2,000 and 3,000 words for my writing prompts. I tend to try to make them shorter, because really they're just meant to be like quick little practice things that go on my blog. But I also don't want to spend too much time on it and then the novelty wears off, right? And this is a scene with no dialogue. It's just sort of one character, her physical actions, the emotions and images surrounding her, and how she feels about what she's doing. So that's the kind of scene where if it goes on for too long, it could get super ultra dense, and I don't necessarily want to do that. But I think this is a really solid start, which is good considering how long I spent talking about it and hyping it up, which, I mean, hopefully that whole sort of lecture at the start wasn't too too dreadfully boring. Probably what I'm gonna do at this point, because we have been going for about an hour and I am out of iced tea, is I'm gonna make some hot tea. So I've been trying to work my way through my last David's Tea subscription box, which I think I opened the envelope on stream. I have a second steep of a tea. It's the Chocolate Explosion, I think it was called. It's supposed to be like a white chocolate raspberry. It doesn't have as much raspberry flavor in it as I would like, which is a little bit of a shame, and I have to sweeten it quite a bit in order to bring out the fruit flavor. But it's a pretty decent tea. I have a second steep of it set up, so probably what I'm gonna do, since those take a little bit longer, is I'll pop AFK, I'll put the kettle on, come back, we'll hopefully chat for a few minutes if anyone has any questions, comments, whatever. Or I can just ramble about tea, because, you know, whatever. And then we'll take a slightly longer in-between sprint break, because I don't think that we have to rush with getting this one put together. So we'll take a slightly longer break, and then once the tea is finished, we will do another sprint and see if I can wrap this one up. I might be able to do it in 2. I think the main challenge for me right now is going to be deciding how I want it to end. Because this is the kind of scene where if you're not careful, you could just ramble on forever. Which is sort of the kind of thing that they usually tell you to avoid in, you know, say novels. Because I'm not necessarily writing a proper short story here. I'm more writing a scene. A small sort of I am capturing a moment in time in the same way that the character in the short is capturing a moment in time. So I think it's a good idea to have an end point in mind so that I don't just ramble on for like 5 pages. Which is a thing that, you know, I could very easily do. These shorts, I don't tend to really edit them. I just sort of type raw whatever is in my brain, and then once it's finished, and I just leave it in its unedited form and post it, and if it gets a little rambly, it gets a little rambly. Some of them do. But I think it's cool to do things like that because, again, it gives you a little bit of an insight into the process. Like, this is never going to be as good as the stuff that I'm working on elsewhere during the week, because I'm polishing those things and I'm cleaning them up and I'm turning them into the best they can be. And this is sort of just a thought in motion. Just the raw writing come out of my head, and I just sort of share those thoughts for fun, and then I put them out into the world and I move on to the next one. And I think the next one is a spiraling tunnel of wind sweeps the character away. So that's probably going to be next week's prompt, which should be interesting. I'll have to decide which world to delve into for that one. But for now, I'm gonna stop talking for a minute. I'm gonna do a quick AFK, grab that kettle, get it going, and I'll be back. back. So I got the name of the tea wrong. It's actually Chocolate Rocket. It's Chocolate Explosion in French. So yeah, it says energizing cocoa and almond. And it does have slices of almond in it, which actually shockingly produce a lot of flavor. So it's yerba mate, organic cocoa nib, almond, little slices of almond, chicory root, raspberry flavor, and raspberry pieces. And then it also has cane sugar chocolate, white chocolate mousse, and flavoring. It doesn't contain milk, which is the most... Well, as soon as I saw that it was supposed to be white chocolate, I thought it would have milk in it. But it doesn't, which is nice because I'm lactose intolerant, so if it had milk in it, it would be difficult for me to drink. It's an interesting tea. I wonder how it would be iced. I might have to try this one iced. Usually I don't try, like, chocolatey or mate teas, iced, because, I don't know, it doesn't usually appeal to me, but it might have more of a milkshake flavor if I made it iced. It's a decent, it's supposed to, I think it's supposed to taste like hot chocolate and raspberry. It doesn't quite taste like that because, like I said, it doesn't quite have enough raspberry flavor in it. But it's good. It's decent. I'm wondering if the raspberry might come through a little bit more on the second steep, because sometimes what happens is some flavors get depleted more so during the first steep, and then during a second steep you can sometimes get different flavors that come out. Now usually I would expect that the fruit would be weaker the next time in the second steep. Oops, my countdown is running and I didn't even realize it. But I don't know, maybe it'll surprise me. I feel like I'm rambling a lot today, guys, and I apologize if I am. But it's what it is. It's Thursday afternoon. It's been an insanely busy week. Last week was crazy as well, because of all my computer issues. But no, I won't say that. I shouldn't say that. That'll curse me. Sometimes I'm like, want to say something, I'll be like, no, I feel like that'll be a challenge to the universe to make my life miserable again. Am I superstitious? A little bit. A little tiny bit. So yeah, this is a David's tea, obviously. Low caffeine, apparently. And it is a mate tea, which is why it has caffeine in it. So that's the base of it. It doesn't have like, normally I would expect like a white tea or a black tea in something like this. So it's interesting. And I remember when I smelled it before, it smelled, I don't want to say like nail polish, but a little bit like maybe cough syrup. Because it smells way more, I think the thing that threw me off is it smells a lot like raspberry. It smells like raspberry hot chocolate, but it doesn't quite taste raspberry hot chocolate, so we'll see. I remembered as well that my other tea subscription service, which I really haven't gotten to dig into too much yet, has this cool little tea passport. And I still have all of my samples from them, so I'm going to fill it out, I think. It has space for what it looks like, what it smells like, and what it tastes like. And then you can rate it tealicious, nice cup of tea, it's okay, still deciding, or not my cup of tea. Unfortunately, I know that the first one that I tried, which was like peppermint, is probably going to be not my cup of tea because I'm not a huge mint fan. Unless it's like mint chocolate chip, then I'm a fan. But yeah, so I'll fill that out, and then once I fill it out, it has enough space for like a whole year. So at the end of the year, once I fill it out, I will do a blog post talking about those teas. I'm gonna go grab that tea now because it should be done. I'm gonna stop yammering at you guys about tea. And then we'll do another sprint and see where this goes. Peter. We were just BRBing because I was grabbing some tea. Whoops. There we go, tea. I was just trying to get enough flavor balance in this tea to make it taste like it describes that it's supposed to taste. I still feel like it doesn't have as much raspberry in it as it should, based on the description of it, but it's not unpleasant. I mean, I just feel like I have to make it very sweet in order to get the kind of flavor balance that I'm looking for, and it's maybe a little too sweet because I don't have as much of a sweet tooth as I used to. How am I? I'm doing pretty good. Working on this here short story. We've only done one word sprint so far because I spent a lot of time yakking and yammering about the concept for this one and what I was planning on doing with it. So only one sprint in, but feeling pretty good about it, pretty confident. Might be able to finish it in one more or 1.5, so we'll see. How are you? What are you up to today? This is my last, usually Thursday is like sort of the end of my big projects for the week, and then I do some littler stuff. I shouldn't say like little stuff because it often ends up being quite important and sometimes time-consuming stuff, but it's more like usually on Fridays I do my next prep for my next book release or my next promo or my marketing stuff or whatever. So this is sort of the last big brain activity push for the day. This is the last time this week that I'll really get into like concept and push words out. So sometimes Thursday afternoon I'm a little bit all over the place because I've been doing a lot of words this week. And my brain's like, are we done now? No? Okay. Give you a chance to answer so we can talk a tiny bit before I go back into the quiet of word sprints. I'm also expecting Mr. Pepper to be home soon at some point. So this is usually, although it's Thursday, so he might be later coming home because I think on some Thursdays, I don't know if it's every Thursday, but on some Thursdays he has D&D club at school. And he is running a pre-made module with them right now. I think it's the Witchlight Carnival or something like that. And they're having a really fun time with it. So, but usually around this time of day, I expect Mr. Pepper to pop in. So, that's what's happening here. Sometimes I appreciate getting up and getting tea and stuff, but sometimes getting back into the headspace of where did I leave off with this writing can sometimes be a little bit hard. It's easier to stay in motion once you get there. Resume, so I think I know where I want to go next. Have some more clicky clankies. Why is there like screeching sound in the background of the song? Oh, that wasn't pleasant. I just assumed that was in my head. I did at first too, but it kept going on, and I was like, why is this taking forever? Is it the music? It was the music. Describe an emotion without using that emotion, and it's hard. She's drawing him like one of her French girls? Yes. Yes, she is. He is sprawled on a couch with clothing on, I will say. She did make specific mention of drawing his clothing. Again, I'm just struggling to express the concept I want to express. Bruce Campbell Soup, hello! How are you? What are you up to? Welcome to the Clicky Clacks. Got home, relaxing with some dinner and some potential space piracy. Nice! Enjoy both the piracy and the dinner. What are you eating tonight, if I may ask? chicken and rice. Ooh, the chicken has been in the crock pot all day with a bottle of Korean barbecue sauce. Nice! That sounds amazing. I love my crock pot for this very reason. I'm planning on making peanut butter chicken tomorrow in the crock pot, which is very similar. It'll go in there, the chicken will go in there with some peppers and onions and some peanut butter and spices. And I'm hoping it will be very delicious. And then I will serve it over rice. That sounds very interesting. Is that something you have with relative frequency? It's something I've only made once or twice before. It's really good though. It comes out a bit spicy. I can get you the recipe. I just have it bookmarked. It's one of those things where like once you throw it in the crock pot, you don't really have to do much with it, and so it's super easy. You just shred the chicken at the end. It's super easy, super good. It's something I should probably make more often because it's not that hard, but it's one that isn't often on my radar. Again, I don't know why these songs have like one weirdly repeating sound in them. timer ended and I didn't notice. Let's see. I think that was less words than the first time around. But that's okay. We're getting very close to the end here. So I believe I actually started there. So it was 714, close to how much we did in the last one. I don't know why I'm selecting that all. It'll tell me all the words right now at the bottom. So we're at 1,500. Gonna ring in probably at around the 2,000 mark or ever so slightly under, which is good. Let me see real quick if I can pull up that recipe for the peanut butter chicken. Just have to sort through here. I think what happens is it's one of those, like, it's in a weird, like, it's in the middle of my recipes, and so it doesn't get looked at as often. Like, you look at the beginning and the end more. So this is, I believe, the recipe. Mine won't look exactly like this because I shred the chicken at the end and then really mix it into the sauce. Because I find that's better than, and then if you do that, if you shred 2 chickens into the sauce, you can actually get 2 meals out of it for 2 people as well. I don't use the tamari sauce, but I do use coconut milk. And I use smooth peanut butter as well, because then I can top it with some peanuts if I would like. And you basically just put the chicken in, whisk together the sauce, and then you toss it all in your slow cooker. It says for 6 hours. I usually do it for 4 or 5 because chicken doesn't actually take that long to cook, and it doesn't, chicken doesn't get as, like there's a benefit to slow cooking beef and pork and stuff for much longer, but chicken, sort of, if you've cooked it for 4 or 5 hours, it usually gets like as soft and tender as it's gonna get. Yeah, I think I have one more that I also use in tandem with it, but that's basically it. I'll probably try to make it slightly less spicy than the last time I made it because I can't eat spice as much as I used to. But that's the one. Oh, this one is peanut chicken instead of peanut butter chicken, but same concept. And so you basically throw the peppers and the onions in at the bottom, and then you put the sauce on over top. And it's basically the same, except this one doesn't use the tamarind sauce, which I don't use anyway, because I think it's super spicy. So there we go. I'll pop that one into the chat as well. I can also post these in the Discord later. But, so I sort of use a combo of the two. And I serve it over rice. I hate how every website now asks if I want to turn on notifications even when I'm on my desktop. Like, no. I don't want notifications. I'm good. Melting potatoes. Uh-oh. I'm gonna fall down a hole, aren't I? melting potatoes. Notifications are so needy. I know, right? I hope you enjoy it, Bruce Campbell Soup, and I'll let you know next week how it goes tomorrow. These look really... I wonder why they're called melting potatoes. Butter, salt, pepper, thyme. Slices. Yeah, thick slices. Douse them. So they're kind of like roasted, essentially. You douse them in butter and spices and you roast them. Flip them, pour broth mixture over, place back into the oven for another 15 minutes. I wonder what the broth does. Interesting. So it's like roasted potatoes, both an extra step. I love me some roasted potatoes. I won't lie. Roasted potatoes are the best. Soft on the inside, crunchy on the outside. The best. I love me a baked potato, and I love me a double baked potato, but a roasted potato, that is something special. Roast potatoes are the greatest invention since soup and bread. Yes, I would agree with that. Again, it's that combo of like crunchy on the outside and super like soft and chewy on the inside. It's kind of the same. It's not obviously the same type of flavor, but it's the same sensation like when you make a cookie. Like the best cookies are crunchy on like the very outside and then just soft and moist in the middle. I think there's something about that texture combo of crunchy and soft that's just really special because it's always really decadent. I think that we probably don't need a full sprint timer in order to finish this, but I do need a quick bio break. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop AFK real quick, just a minute or two here, and just stretch my legs and run to the washroom. And then I'm going to come back because I have the end of this planned. I think it's only going to be a couple hundred more words. Like I said, it might not even be the full 500. And then we'll finish this off, and it'll feel super nice because then all my big writing projects will be done for the week. The real trick to a roast potato is how you cook it. Honestly, in my experience, lard is the true way. Yes, and I know too. One thing you can do is you can like parboil the potatoes ahead of time. And you want to try to get them, like, you can kind of, not exactly score them with a fork, but you basically want to get them a little bit, like, where they're starting to crumble, because you want them to have a bunch of little pits and stuff in the surface, because then when you cook them in the oven, right, everywhere where it's started to sort of crumble or where it's like scored or whatever, anyway, there's a little pit like that, like disruption in the surface of the potato, that's gonna add to the crunchiness. That's gonna let the heat really get in there, and the lard or whatever you're baking it in, roasting it in, get into that surface and really make it like super crispy crunchy. And then you're sort of like maximizing your crunch space and your ratio of crunch to softness. Now, I don't usually do that, I will admit, because that's like really time consuming. I don't usually make sure that they're all like super scored. I often parboil them or even pop them in the microwave quick for 2 minutes if I'm in a rush. But if you're like having a special occasion and you want really good roast potatoes, that's like the best way to maximize like your ratio of crunch to soft, is to parboil them and just get them a little bit folie-a-party so that they're pitted on the outside and it's super yummy. Anyway, BRB. With that image making me hungry, BRB. I return. I also now want roast potatoes. Which, sadly, we will not be having for dinner tonight because I'm cooking tonight and I've already decided what we're eating, and I don't have anything to make with roast potatoes. But I guess I'm going to be making roast potatoes soon. Alright, so we're almost at the end of this scene. Just, I know how I want it to end, so I basically just have to do it. So let's put, I'll put the full sprint timer on, although, actually, maybe I'll just do the 10-minute one, because I don't think I need a full 20 minutes. And I always feel bad if I, like, cut the sprint timer off in the middle. So let's do the 10 minutes. Hey, Shagraz, how are you? What are you up to today? We were just talking about roast potatoes and how to make them delicious. And now I'm gonna finish writing a little story thing. Potatoes are delicious. Yes, they are. You can boil them, mash them, and put them in a stew. You can. You can also boil them ever so slightly, mash them, and then roast them to make them super crispy and delicious, as we just talked about. What is with this weird... I feel like the lo-fi station is playing all the weird ones today. I shall turn on the half sprint timer for now and finish the scene. I was lurking and working, and now I'm done. Well, that's great. I hope this was a nice, chill place to lurk while you were working. And I'm almost done working, too, which is nice. Do you have any plans for the evening, Shagraz? Mr. Pepper, hello. How are you? What are you up to? Tell us, if you would like, how your review went today, because I think you mentioned having a review in the Discord. sorry girl, he's just not into you. I mean, again, did stress this at the beginning of the stream that it is an arranged marriage, so it's definitely an imbalance. So she's definitely madly in love with him and he's not into her at all. He's trying to make it work. But I do hope that the story sort of conveys this idea of like, their marriage is perfect when they're not actively participating in it, and sort of when life is happening, it sort of highlights to them the fact that maybe they shouldn't necessarily, like, this arrangement is not necessarily working. And so that's one of the reasons why she's capturing this perfect moment, right? Or trying to. I think I'm gonna leave it there, actually. I think that's perfect. I think it does exactly what I wanted it to do. It captures a moment with motion and stillness, and sort of paints an image around it of something bigger. But it is momentary and passing, and it lasts only as long as it lasts, and then it moves on, and it becomes a memory or reflection. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I successfully, the prompt was moments of perfection are rare, so I feel like I captured that. Again, it feels a little meta to write a story about an artist attempting to capture a moment while being an artist attempting to capture a moment, but I'm happy with how it came out. I see that Ghost did not answer any of my questions. As usual. That's, you know, how it is. That's just how it is. Well, I asked how you were and if you wanted to share with everyone how your review went, and you were just like, nah. I just want to talk to Woof and ignore my wife. She's just my wife. The answers are good and good. Well, fine then. I still have a job for now. Neither of us were worried about that not being the case, I must say. For now, in all caps. Yeah, so 2025 words. I think that was when we started the 10-minute marker. So 474 words, about how much I expected it to be. It's simple. It fulfills a purpose. I'm happy with it. I've said that like 3 times now. So probably what I should do is find somebody to raid so that I can go feed my husband. Did they not feed you at work today? I imagine they probably did. Let's see. Who is around? Ooh, Sable is around. Is she raiding today? Looks like she'll be starting in about 5 minutes. Looks like Travis Tavern is on as well. Oh, it looks like they're having a chat. Okay. Maybe we'll drop in on Sable when she starts, because it's always nice to start your stream out with a raid. And we're gonna yak for like 4 minutes, so actually had a lot of food at work today, so no rush. I mean, theoretically I'm ending the stream so that I can feed you, but I do have a few things to do before I feed you, so it's fine. But I know you have a stream tonight, Mr. Pepper. What are you planning on doing on your stream tonight? For me, this is it for my channel this week. Not forever, but for this week. Tomorrow night, Friday, at 7:30, I believe, PST, I will be over on the lovely Ghost Pepper's channel. Let me actually do a shout out for Ghost Pepper. I will be over on Ghost Pepper's channel tomorrow night. We will be playing Hades. We're doing Divorce Court 1 day early. Usually we do it on Saturday night, but we have a lot of plans this weekend, and I believe that Ghost is participating in a tabletop RPG that is Warhammer related. Correct me if I'm wrong, on Saturday night. So instead, we're going to be doing Divorce Court Friday night. We're going to be playing Hades. We're going to have a little bit of split screen so that you can see what we're both doing. I am going to be doing some achievement hunting. That's what I meant to say. Because I'm very close to a couple of the bigger achievements. I am going to try and unlock the last couple weapon aspects that I'm missing, and try to level up my last couple keepsakes as well. So we'll see how that goes. I curse a lot when I'm playing that game because I'm bad at it, but it's gonna be fun. I love Hades, so if you're interested in Hades, that's happening tomorrow. I will be back Monday morning, bright and early, 10 a.m. PST, to edit more of The Beast's Wicked Gleam. We're going to edit the scene that was originally the first scene in the novel. If you were here yesterday, I added a new scene to the beginning of that novel. So we're going to be editing the original first scene, and then I will be back again Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. for editing an action scene, so you guys can see how much that stresses me out. And then probably, I will of course finalize all of this over the weekend, but I'll probably be back Thursday afternoon in this same time slot next week to write another one of these. And I believe the prompt for next week is going to be a spiraling tunnel of wind sweeps a character away. So I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. I will think about it and no doubt do another long dissertation on whatever I decide to write when that happens. Let me know if you guys enjoy those, or if you'd rather that I just sort of show up and clicky-clack. But if you're interested in my thought process for this thing that I produced today, I spent about the first 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes, sort of drawing the line between my moments of perfection and how I wanted to depict them in word form. Also, this VOD will make it onto YouTube at some point. And I decided to go ahead and upload yesterday's VOD since I did so much talking about editing. So if anyone's ever interested in hearing me yammer on about how I do my edits and whatnot, that will be forever preserved, I guess. I still feel like I'm not the most exciting. But, Ghost, did you want to say what you're streaming tonight, or do you not know what you're streaming tonight? I know what my vote is, but you probably won't do it. I'm gonna pop over and see if Sable is starting. Whoops. 7 more seconds. Oh, I see Author Goddess just rated as well, so I like the streamer to be on camera when I drop in, but there she goes. Actually, Ghost, if you're listening, if you have questions about World Anvil, you might want to ask Sable, because she uses it quite extensively for Game of Thrones. So. She has a really cool book trailer. I know, I'm watching all of this stuff that I don't have up on my screen. Because it feels weird to watch another person's stream on my stream. There you go, really tiny preview there. I need to do that for my books. I don't know how to do that. Who am I kidding? Oh, she's on camera. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you so much for hanging out. I think Vinyl made this lovely little thing here for everyone to make use of if you would like to participate in the raid. Also feel free to sub in any combo of the emotes that you would like. Thank you for hanging out, listening to me ramble. I feel like I did a lot of that today, but I enjoyed this scene. I'm happy with this scene. It's always an experience to do these things and to actually share my thought process out loud instead of just sitting on my couch and going through it silently and then writing a bunch of words down. I hope that I will see you all again next week. I hope that you all have a fabulous weekend. I'm gonna do a longsword class this weekend, so we'll see. That should be fun and interesting for a fantasy writer. Today's right tip of the day is playing around with new concepts in shorts or on your blog is a great way to learn new things that you can apply to your bigger work because there's no risk involved if it doesn't work. You just try again, and then once you've perfected it, you take it over to the big stuff. That's it for me today, short and simple. Take care, everybody. Again, I love you all. You're the best. Bye-bye.
I love the music for this trailer, says Chris. Royalty Free Zone is the name of the